We're gonna be gone soon.
They have one thing on their mind: T-cells. Over here.
What, are you sick or something?
The day after tomorrow for this saga. There's not another tomorrow. The chapter ends here.
Locked in place. No infection at all.
This blood doesn't have T-cells. It's biological.
There's a ghost out there, handing out salvation.
Oh, I love you so much.
And here we are again on another special episode of Podcast of Traveling Actors with your host, Deaton and
Brandon Wall.
and special guest.
Mike Breeding.
There it is. So thank you for coming on, Michael. We appreciate you, buddy. So we're going to just go ahead and jump into it, man. So just kind of tell us a little bit about yourself, your background, and how you got into film.
Okay, well, I have a construction background. That's really what I've done most of my life. I have a small business and do some remodeling. And it's kind of funny. I have 5 children, and some of them had some needs to where my wife needed to be at home. We'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
But she needed to be at home, so we struggled off one income for a long time. And as they started getting older and moving out, she decided to go back to school and become a nurse. So during that time period, I was used to having craziness. I married my wife when I was 22. She had 3 kids. I was just used to being busy all the time. So I'm sitting there just absolutely with nothing to do. Like, I mean, I can come up with stuff to do, but I just said, what do I want to do with all this free time with myself, you know? And I was hanging out with my brother. Now, my brother calls me with problems. You know, if he has an issue, he calls me. I'm supposed to be like the smart one, we'll say. I'm not that I'm smart, but he's not, you know?
He doesn't listen to this.
Right. I'll tell him to listen to it. If he'll agree, he won't argue. He's like, yeah, you're supposed to be the smart one, dummy. But so we're just hanging out, drinking some beer, and I'm like, man, I don't know what to do with myself. I got all this time. I don't know what to do. And he said something great. He looked at me, he said, what did you like to do when you were a kid? Whatever it is, do that, you know? So I said, I thought about it. I didn't know instantly. I didn't have anything off the top of my head. But I got to think about it. I remember as a little kid, we played in the neighborhood shooting each other with guns. And this is going to age me a little bit. They used to have, tires used to have inner tubes in them, like car tires. And so we would cut them up and make guns with those rubber bands and shoot them at each other and throw smoke bombs. And I love that stuff. Just everything using my imagination. And so I decided to take an acting class. And while I was at this class, it was Zan Daly down at Louisville Actors Theater. And she was really good. I had to do a monologue and had a one little scene with another guy that was mostly improv. And I loved it. It was fun. But I'm not going to say my monologue was good, per se. But there were some really bad ones in there, so it made me look like...
Made you feel better, yeah.
Made me look pretty good.
Yeah. You're like, man, I'm pretty good at this.
Yeah. Well, somebody else was in there wanting to make a movie, and he had never made one. And he saw it, and he said, hey, I got this script I'm working on. You'd be perfect for one of the characters. You want to do it? So I'm like, sure, let's do it. And the guy's named Mike McDonald, not from the Doobie Brothers, if you're that old, but different guy. And he had never made a movie, and so we made this really bad short film. But it was a lot of fun, man.
That's what you gotta do, though. Honestly, like that's the best way to learn is by doing, especially with film. I mean, like For a long time, I mean, I didn't really do any acting classes, and I regret that now, having, done acting classes for like 4 years. But the best experience is to just be on set and to kind of get thrown in with the wolves.
Well, I was going to say too, backing up to where you said you took acting classes. Normally, a normal person who starts acting, they just want to jump into it and they'll look on Facebook and look short films, and they will never take acting classes. So taking that, that avenue of doing the classes and taking that initiative, do you feel like that first acting class you took really shaped you into the actor? Because I know my first acting class I had with Juju Papaye, like that really, like, it stuck with me. Like, it was like, that was the moment I was like, I can do this. And is that something that you feel like helped out a lot, doing an acting class first before jumping into it?
It helped. I don't feel like it shaped me per se, but it gave me motivation to realize, hey, I like this. I want to pursue it a little further. At that point, it was still kind of fun. Yeah. Something fun. And it was very introductory. And this guy that was making these films, he was just as bad as me. We didn't know what in the world we were doing. And so we just kept having fun.
Yeah. And that's all it's about, honestly, is having fun. I have fun every time I step on it. It doesn't matter if it's an awful set or not. It's a good time.
You'll never work a day in your life if you do the thing you love.
Yeah, exactly.
That's kind of the way we look at it.
So now we're talking about feature film. Let's go into the one that you, what did you direct it, produce it? What was your actual role in it?
I don't know how many roles I actually had in it yet. It's independent filmmaking.
He's going to wait till
independent filmmaker.
I got so many hats. He basically said, whatever hat you want, just tell me, it'll be in there. So I played the lead in it.
Okay. So what's it called?
It's called The Road Long.
Okay.
And so the same guy that I told you about the first film with, we did several films leading up to this. They were all short films. They were all really bad, but each time we kind of progressed a little bit. Yeah. We wanted to try making homemade squibs and shooting somebody. We wanted to try a knife throw, see what it looked like to hit somebody in the chest. We did this little 5-minute film where I threw a knife and then I threw it at myself, and I was playing the two characters. So we just had fun with it. And with The Road Long, we decided we wanted something good where characters, build. Right. They have growth. But we still didn't really technically know how to make a good film, but we could come up with a good story. So I helped him come up with the story. He did the writing. We collaborated on the story. He directed it. We brought in a DP that volunteered time. We had no budget. This was out of his pocket, my pocket. I built all the sets that had to be built. We didn't do a lot of set building, but what had to be done, I came up with props, built props, all of it. We did it all. I bought sound equipment because the first couple films we made, we just had camera sound, and it was bad. It was unwatchable. We had the script that was hilarious, but it was just unwatchable.
That's one of those things you definitely learn from experiences. And we talked about this in the last episode, is you have to have good sound. Yeah. It can look as pretty as it wants to, but if it sounds like it's being recorded on.
And honestly, I think you can get away with a not so good picture if you have great sound.
Honestly, yeah.
I really do. I feel like you can. So where are you at as far as the progress goes with the film? How far along are you? You're in post-production now, right?
Yeah, we are in post. Everything's been shot. We probably should have got more B-roll. I wish we would have done that, but we didn't. And there's a couple places where we shot that are no longer there. They don't exist anymore.
Oh, wow. Really?
They've torn the buildings down. And so there's no going back and getting those shots. Yeah. But I think we have a good story. It's not going to be able to look exactly like it was written. But sometimes that's good. Sometimes it progresses your story. It makes it better. And sometimes it hurts a little.
Well, as far as I know, too, I know you got a pretty big stunt in that film.
There's a good stunt. It's one of the few things we haven't shown on social media. If you follow The Road Long on Facebook, we haven't shown that one. But it's pretty good. It's a pretty good jump. I'll leave it at that.
Yeah. I want to see it.
It's awesome.
We had some pretty good people doing some makeup too. That real effects, practical effects. That's pretty good.
So let's just backtrack for people that don't know the film. What is it about? What is this film about?
So when we were trying to come up with this story, we referenced a lot of different things that we wanted to pull from. And for me, one of the things I wanted to pull from was the movie Signs. Yeah. I like Night Shyamalan.
Yeah, he's amazing.
He's not everything he's made is great in my opinion, but some of the stuff that's good is
really good.
Really
awesome.
good, yeah.
And so I wanted that flashback. In that movie Signs, it flashes back to her being pinned against the truck. And at the same time, the movie's not really about aliens. It's about Mel Gibson's character's struggle with his faith. And I wanted that depth to the character. And so Mike did a pretty good job of putting that in. I'm not sure it'll translate in the film that we got, but he did a pretty good job of writing that in. Yeah. And so we wrote those flashbacks in throughout the movie. And that's really what is supposed to, that's the core to me. Of course, I'm a little biased. I did play that character, but it's about his struggle with faith, but it's in a post-apocalyptic type of situation where a disease has taken over.
That's the way to do it too, is to write like that, honestly, because it really comes down to the character and the character development. And it reminds me of like True Detective season 1, where it was like what he really wanted to do, I can't remember the writer's name, but what he really wanted to do was like write these philosophies and have people talking. And he's like, well, how do I make this interesting? I'll throw in dead bodies. Then they can just talk and talk and talk. That's really what that show is. If you if you watch, it's a character study between Woody Harrelson and Matthew McConaughey's characters.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he got some great actors to come in there and do that. I mean, who do you want to listen to talk about?
Yeah, for real
things,
though. Yeah.
You know?
Well, and it's cool too. Once you, as an audience, you watch a film or you watch a TV show and you start to grow and love these characters. If you have great character development, I mean, you can draw anybody in. I promise you. I mean, the story could be awful, but if the character development and people love these characters, I mean, it could do wonders, honestly. So to hear that, you played this role that it seems like it's a very in-depth role too. I mean, it seems like there's a lot of moving parts in this character and his background. So be able to play that and, have somebody love or be drawn to that character, I mean, that makes a story 1,000% better.
True. And I think it's also important to note that, especially for like indie filmmakers, it's really hard it's really easy to be down on yourself and be like, oh, I don't have the budget for this, or I can't do this. So you have to be doing things within your limitations, but also that feeling of like being, we've made our short films and feature films and stuff, that feeling of just having a release project is just like you actually, put your blood, sweat, and tears into that project, and now it's out there. I can't wait for you to feel that with the long run.
Well, he's been telling me about it too. He told me, he was like, dude, we got to finish. He's like, I'm just so happy it's done, because a lot of people don't finish movies. Like they'll get them started, and then, they don't finish it. So just having that done is a huge accomplishment in itself.
Yeah, I think it's unbelievable, the budget. We haven't done it yet. I'm thinking by the time we get through post, we're going to be $5,000-$6,000 total. Wow. And we have 2 hours and 30 minutes of cut. We got to cut it down under 2 hours. So
that's good for that.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And we had there's a lot of good local actors that worked on this film and volunteered their time. But a big shout out to Clayton Luce. He volunteered his time, brought in his cameras, and made this thing look way better than what we ever could have too.
So I think we had this conversation last night. We were talking about how if you could get everybody in Louisville that are good at their craft just to pitch in and not have to spend any money, and you get like the best of the DPs, the best of the sound, best actors, best producers, whatever, and you get all these people together. I mean, you can make something amazing just by people just doing it because they want to. They love doing what they do. Yeah. So it seems like you got, pretty decent people that got on there and just wanted to help and just create something that was magic, which is awesome.
I think, magic is a good word for it, because I don't know how good it's going to end up. It may be, it may not be, it may be. I don't know. I haven't seen the final product. I've seen it cut, and it needs a lot of work still in editing. But just to be able to finish it, just be
able to say it's done.
At the time, I had no idea. We're making a movie. It didn't mean anything to me. But now, looking back on it, and knowing a little bit more about the industry, and I realized how difficult it was just to complete that project. I can't believe now that we actually did it.
Yeah, because you said that there was some time that you took off, a lot of time to film, because it was cold or something, or was it the wintertime?
Yeah,
and you couldn't fill the seam, and you had to wait for the next year to roll. Yeah, so I remember you telling me it was a while for you all to get that finished.
That was almost 2 years. Yeah.
That's insane. That's kind of like a broken valve.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's crazy. So you, well, Ryan mentioned too that you've worn a lot of hats, and you've said that you did that with the Road Long too. What do you prefer doing? Do you prefer producing? Do you prefer acting? Do you prefer writing? Like, what do you like the best?
That's a good question. I love acting, probably the best.
Yeah.
There's something about being in front of the camera. There's a nervousness to it that is also a high, and if you can take that, and I've done a lot of speaking in front of people over the years, and every time I do that at all, in front of the camera, in front of people, whatever, there's a buzz to it.
Yeah.
There's
We were talking about the last one, the first episode we just did, where I said that there's no other feeling than acting. Like it's just something that if you never do it, you will never experience it. It's a great feeling. It is.
But what I really want to do also at the same time is direct, because I want control, a little more control over the story and what I get from actors and what I get. I want to do that, and I'm doing some writing. I love to write. It's just finding time to write.
Yeah.
It's so hard.
Man.
Yeah, you're
So
going
true.
through that right now with the re-editing and revising and what do they call them? And I guess in TV, I just found this out the other day is yellow pages and pink pages when you send that off for revised scripts.
We are on the third draft of Deep Within the Caves. We started writing that all the way the October before last year.
Yeah.
So that'll tell you right there.
Yeah,
And
writing
we're
it
about
took-
to get director notes and another producer note, and then that'll be the fourth draft, and hopefully after that we will just have the final, like you said, like blue and yellow pages.
But it takes a lot. Just getting it finished is the hardest part. Just finishing the entire script and then going back, it gets a little easier as you go. But just getting the script finished to begin with is extremely hard. So what do you have anything going on now? Do you have any auditions that you have coming up or anything that you have already?
I haven't seen a lot of stuff. I'm trying to be a little more picky. And
Yeah.
about what
Yeah,
I
we
like.
just talked about that
literally
too,
just
yeah.
talked about that. Yeah.
It's getting ready to get busy for me, and I'm not at a point where I'm still learning a lot. I'm volunteer to PA on stuff so that I can get experience with grip and different things, and so I maybe can actually make a living doing something in this industry. But for now, I'm not. So it's hard to find time. So if I do, I want to use my time wisely as to what jobs I take. So
And you get a lot of auditions, so you definitely have a look. You have a look that people would kill for. Honestly, I think it's very unique. So I feel like you have the opportunity to be selective on what you do because you do have a look that people do look for. So
yeah, I'm not for every job either.
yeah, I mean, yeah. But you definitely have that very distinct like mobster or a corrupt pastor. Like I could see that stuff. Like so you have a look for sure. So it's the selective is the right thing to say because especially around here, it's hard to find things that are actually worth time doing, if that makes sense. Whether it is the director of photography with the work of it, or if it's like the pay or whatever, it's hard to find it. So being selective, I mean,
and that's
you
the thing
have to around here.
I think people don't really understand if you're not in the industry too, is like you're not giving up the days that you're going to be on set. You're giving up all the time that you got to break down the script, you got to rehearse, all the different things.
Yeah.
And actually, I just wanted to kind of go back a little bit because you did mention like we've had some podcasts about anxiety and stuff, especially when it comes to film and being in front of the camera. When you first did your acting class, did you like feel any anxiety towards that, or did you kind of just jump in there like, oh, this is gonna be fun? Like, how'd that work?
I jumped in like it was going to be fun, but still to do a monologue in front of 30 people, there's still a nervousness to it. I don't know if anxiety is the right word for that. For me, particularly, nervous energy maybe would be better. Just because to me it's an adrenaline rush. I love it. I love the feeling, but there's still a nervousness to it. There is.
Yeah. So what do you struggle with sometimes? Like if there's a new actor that's listening and you're listening to this, like what do you feel like you wish you could have done different getting into it and starting off, or what advice would you give somebody that's starting off?
Don't be in a hurry. People want to hurry. They want to take on stuff that's too big for them. And honestly, the road long is where the process of writing that, and not that I wrote it, but helping with the story and making that movie over the course of those 2 years, I really fell in love with the whole process. And that's when I said, hey, I want to pursue this further. I love this. I love every part of it. And so that's when I decided I want to take some more classes. I started some Meisner classes. I'm doing some Meisner Advanced and finding some people who can help me develop some skills.
Yeah.
Because I wish I would have had those and some of the other stuff I've done.
Yeah. I like that hurry though. I guess we really hadn't talked too much about that either.
We talked about it a little bit, like when I was like, it takes 10 years coming over to success or whatever. Just done for 12 years.
Because a lot of people do, and it's funny because I listened to a interview with Shia LaBeouf when he first started, and it never turns out like this. This is a very rare situation, but he was talking about how he had his first audition. Somebody was like, "Hey, I think you could be an actor. You have the look." And he was like, "Okay, I've never done it before. I've never taken any classes or whatever, so I guess I'll give it a try." So he actually auditioned for Even Stevens, which was on Disney Channel, I guess is what it was. And his first audition, he booked it. Very first audition, and he blew up from there. So it was like, that doesn't happen all the time. So people don't understand taking classes first, getting that down, getting your foundation down. And obviously not everybody's going to, take on Meisner or take on method or take on whatever it could be, but you take bits and pieces of that. If you build your acting and who you are and taking who you are as a person and instilling these classes and then jump into acting, I mean, there's a big difference between jumping into it and taking classes for sure.
Yeah, well, another quote that comes to mind is like, it's luck meeting opportunity.
Yeah.
So like there is a little bit of luck involved, obviously, with this job. I mean, you have no control over what projects are available at what time, but what you can control is, have you been preparing? So like even with the strike, I know I was in class like every month. Yeah. Because I just wanted to make sure that I was building that skill set, like you said, so that when the strike is over and we are starting to get this flood of auditions, we can get straight into it. And that's like how you booked your network role we'll talk about later.
Yeah, and then another thing too is as far as like not being prepared, and this is just a story that I remember hearing somebody tell me. I was on set of The Devil Below, and apparently this guy did an audition. It was a self-tape, which is weird because it was before COVID. I actually didn't even know they did self-tapes before COVID. But they did a self-tape. He booked it. He got on set. He's never done anything in his life. And he was so nervous. He got on there. He didn't take any classes or anything. So he's standing in the middle. They say action, and he freezes up. He doesn't know what to do. He doesn't know what to say. Like, he just stands there. They're like, all right, cut. Let's do it again. They're like, are you okay? Whatever. And he's like, yeah, I'm good. Like, action. He starts acting. It was awful. So they gave him like 4 or 5 times, and they fired him. And they said they blacklisted him because of that. So being prepared is definitely something that you should do before you start getting on a big set like that anyways, because that, how terrified I'd be if I did that.
Well, it's like we've talked before, like with these lower budgets, there's lower pressure and you can kind of play more with it. You can experiment more. Whereas like if you were on like a big studio set, I mean, you've got to have your shit together. There's not nearly as much time to mess around.
Yeah. Back to your question too, I think it matters, what age you're getting into this. I'm not as young as you guys. I say be patient, but I can't be quite as patient as you can. I don't have that much time.
I don't know. Samuel L. Jackson started pretty old. He started really old.
Yeah, he did.
Who was Morgan Freeman was another one that kind of started a little older as well. I think that, I don't know. I feel like if you look on IMDb, or not IMDb, Actors Access and stuff, a lot of those ages are older ages though. Y'all see like 50, 60-year-olds. I don't think age necessarily matters as far as like when you do start, I guess, acting classes at an older age, it does, I guess, matter a little bit, but I think it's the right time.
Well, the great
right
thing
person,
about
the right
acting
opportunity.
Sorry to interrupt you. The great thing about acting is like it's always going to be there. There's always going to be you might age out of your like type now, but like you're just gonna like right now I'm doing like the college frat boy and stuff. But if I can grow a beard, maybe like age a little bit, then I could start getting like the dad, like the young dad and stuff. And so like that's the great thing about acting is you're always going to be continuing to move forward to like these different and more,
which is cool too.
Like I mean like the best part about that too is like they're usually going to be more meatier roles too, because like your character has lived life, you've lived life now, so you can kind of relate to those experiences.
And Betty White, she did it until she was 99 when she died. Like she was still doing it.
I think more what I'm thinking is like kids.
Because
kids have opportunities. They don't have to be as patient. They can jump into school plays, and there's a lot of stuff available for them to get involved in.
That is very true. And I think also with the self-tape era that we live in now, they do a lot of Zoom classes too. So I
Yeah,
think that actually
a lot.
opened up a lot of opportunity for people who are at home and they can't travel and go to these places to be able to act and get these classes online. So I think it opened up a lot of opportunities for people like us who can't always travel and do stuff like that, which is cool. Yeah. You got anything else?
Do you have anything you want to plug, Michael, that you have like coming out or anything?
The biggest thing right now is still the road long.
Yeah.
I don't know when it's going to be done. It'll be done this year, though.
But there's like a
That's
Facebook page that people can go
Yeah,
to.
there's
and
a
stuff.
Facebook page, the road long. I got to check. There's two of them, but one of them, we started one page just kind of for cast during shooting. Is a way to communicate, but I want to check and make sure I give the right one.
Everybody's
You
like,
can
"I can't
also
find it."
send me the link and we can like put it
Yeah, we'll
underneath
put it in
on
there
the
for
video
sure,
too.
Yeah,
So people
absolutely.
can go
There's
to it.
there's some scenes and stuff from the movie in there, the trailers in there. But I do want to make sure
We
I
could
give the
probably
right
even
one.
clip in the trailer on this too,
We
for
will.
real. That'd
I'll
be
add
kind
the
of cool.
trailer on.
Yeah, that'd be
I like
awesome.
to,
Yeah.
I know, like when we did the audio version only, I did like some snippets of like the stuff that they were in. So I'll do that for sure for like the video one. We'll
That'd
have
be
the
cool.
trailer at the beginning.
That'd be really cool, actually.
Well, I don't know because I don't have. I'm not
There's no
getting any
Facebook
service in
page.
here.
Never mind.
So I'll say it both ways. It's the road long, capital T, capital R, capital L, and or it could be the road long, lowercase T R L.
There you go. You'll find it one way or another.
Yeah. Well, Michael, we appreciate you, brother, coming
thank
on
you
here
so much
and
for coming
talking.
on, man.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, man.
I appreciate it.
All right, until next time.
Until next time.